Thank you, Chair. Minister, I welcome this bill and reading it as I do as a technical and tidying up bill and also making provisions for the reserves. So I completely support it. I want to begin by taking the opportunity to really thank our Defence Forces. I think over the last 18 months they have really been extraordinary. At the height of one of the most frightening periods of it, I had to bring my daughter for a test, and with military precision, it was the whole thing was managed extraordinarily, and there was a safety and a comfort in seeing members of our Defence Forces there, and something that felt familiar and secure. So I think I am very grateful, but I know that, from the naval to, contact tracing to flying in equipment and PPE, they have really been extraordinary. I have had the honour in my career of working as a counselling psychologist at one stage out in Kildare, and had members and families that were stationed at the Curragh come into my practice. And one of as someone who never really had any contact with any members of the Defence Forces, what I was really always struck by was that sense of honour, that sense of pride in our identity, in what we did at home and what we did overseas. And so that job at home and that job abroad, and throughout, as things were being mentioned in the course of their duties and shared with me, I came to know quite the diverse way that the Defence Forces interact unknowingly in our lives, which I suppose brings me to a question. When the Rangers went to Afghanistan, when we've seen, I'm old enough to remember cash transit having to be, surrounded by members of army personnel to keep us safe and in the pure defence of the state and the money of the state. But when we see moments like that, we see the evidence of what the Defence Forces do. But I think otherwise, outside of that, people are unaware of their daily work and the sheer extent of it, and just how committed and fantastic they are. So I think that in the context of this reserve and of an opening up, it would be really good to have that kind of an information campaign, and for the people in the country to know just how amazing they are and what they do all day, every day. Because I think that because we don't go to war, we only have the perception of the blue beret, they go away with the UN, with those, but that's out of context to our everyday life. So I think that there is a role in that. And I think in that, then we see recruitment, then we see the opportunity for that career, for the Defence Forces to be that destination career, to explore, to go into apprenticeships. And I'm sure Minister Harris will be too delighted for a widening of the apprenticeships and the opportunities within the Defence Forces, and to work and to facilitate that with you. So I think that there is an information campaign needed with regard to our Defence Forces that will be really beneficial to all of us, because we all get that surge of pride when we see them in action, but to know what people do on a daily basis. Lastly, I think a lot has been said, obviously, around the women of honour, and I mean that the women should be applauded for their courage and their honesty, and we stand in horror and completely in solidarity with them, and agree with you that we believe them in what they're saying. So I appreciate the steps that you've taken, the meeting that and your words today are very reassuring in that, and congratulate you for that. No one, a basic of our constitutional right to natural justice and fair proceedings is that nobody investigates themselves, nobody gets to cross-examine, as has been spoken about by Senator Martin. There is principles in criminal law already there that should have been applied and should be applied in this situation, whereby nobody gets to question a victim and a survivor in the manner in which we have heard of. So I appreciate your actions in that regard, and thank you. And I suppose we look forward to a quick, speedy resolution to a cultural sharing of a culture that really dishonours the very, very many honourable men within our defence forces, and so that a small few would blight the entire defence forces. But that said, then there are also people standing around seeing it happen and not speaking up. So I think that they need to be called out as well. So I applaud that and applaud the women. Thank you.